When we picture a truly great worker, we usually picture this blur of motion.
Oh, yeah. Always rushing around.
Right. It's the person typing furiously at their desk
Yeah.
or sprinting from meeting to meeting, firing off emails at 2 in the morning.
The sheer velocity of it.
Exactly. We look at that and think, wow, they are really getting things done. But there is a massive difference between making a lot of noise and actually moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we've been conditioned for over a century to equate sweat with success.
Totally.
If the engine is roaring at 10,000 RPMs, we just assume we're winning the race. But if that car is sitting in neutral or worse, facing the wrong direction, all that roaring engine does is burn through your fuel.
You generate a ton of heat, but you aren't actually going anywhere.
Right, you're just loud and stationary.
Which brings us to the core mission of our deep dive today. Welcome in, by the way. We are exploring a stack of notes and excerpts centered around Peter F. Drucker's legendary book, The Effective Executive.
Class.
It really is. And our goal for you today is to decode what actually makes a knowledge worker, quote unquote, effective.
And how that's fundamentally different from just being efficient.
Exactly. We want you to see how you can use these timeless habits to cut through the noise and make a massive impact in your own career.
Because to set the stage here, we really have to establish one crucial truth from Drucker's work.
Right.
Effectiveness is not some inborn talent.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't just born an effective person while someone else is, doomed to be ineffective forever.
It's not a personality type.
No, not at all. Effectiveness is a specific set of practices.
Mm-mm.
And like any practice, whether it's playing the piano or, performing surgery, it can and absolutely must be learned.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to understand how to be effective, we first have to realize that the fundamental rules of work have completely changed.
They've completely flipped.
Right. For most of human history, the center of gravity was physical labor. If you were a shoemaker, the primary metric was efficiency.
Which is just doing things right.
Exactly. You produce a pair of shoes quickly with minimal wasted leather, and your output is highly visible.
You can point to a pile of shoes.
Yeah. And for the last 100 years, we have optimized that kind of manual work to an incredible degree. But right now, the center of gravity has shifted to the knowledge worker.
Right. We aren't being paid for the brawn of our muscles anymore. We're being paid for what's between our ears.
And here is the brilliant distinction. Manual work requires efficiency, which is doing things right. But knowledge work requires effectiveness.
Getting the right things done.
Yes, getting the right things done.
And that's where the imposing system of measurements we developed from manual work just completely falls apart.
Things like time tracking or strict quality control.
Yeah, all of that industrial engineering stuff, it fails completely when applied to knowledge work.
Yeah.
Drucker argues, and I love this, there is nothing less productive than a highly efficient engineering department rapidly turning out beautiful, flawless blueprints.
For the wrong product.
Exactly, for a product that the market completely rejects.
So the efficiency actually worked against them.
Oh, completely. The output was flawless, right?
Right.
But the effectiveness was zero. Working on the right things is what makes knowledge work valuable, and you just cannot measure that with a stopwatch.
There is this really funny New Yorker cartoon mentioned in the notes that perfectly captures this anxiety.
Oh, the soap one.
Yeah, the soap one. It shows a soap company executive with his feet propped up on his desk, blowing smoke rings at the ceiling.
Looking completely lazy.
Right, just chilling, and a big sign on his wall says, "Think." Outside his office, two older men are walking by, and one says to the other, "Well, how can we be sure that Smith thinks soap?"
It's brilliant, because a knowledge worker's true doing is thinking. And thinking is invisible.
You literally can't see it happening.
No. When a worker looks like they're doing absolutely nothing, they might actually be solving the company's biggest crisis in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Organizations are terrified of this because they can't supervise it in the traditional way.
It's like manual efficiency is like running on a treadmill. You can measure the steps, you can track the heart rate, you have undeniable proof of effort,
Or there's a dashboard for it.
but you aren't actually navigating a landscape, you're just sweating. Knowledge work is like being dropped into the middle of a maze.
That's a great way to put it.
But if knowledge work is invisible, isn't the temptation just to look busy so people assume we're being effective?
Oh, of course.
Like, the treadmill provides proof of effort, so we just run faster on the treadmill.
Because it's safe.
Oh.
But because knowledge workers cannot be measured by the sheer quantity of their output, they face this unique and heavy burden. They have to direct themselves.
They have to figure out the maze on their own.
Yeah, they have to constantly orient themselves toward real-world contribution. Nobody is going to stand over them and count the widgets they produce. They have to ask themselves, is this widget even worth making in the first place?
Which leads to a massive roadblock. If effectiveness is just about finding the right path out of the maze, why do so many incredibly smart, talented people get hopelessly lost in the daily grind of their own organizations?
Well, the notes point out 4 major realities built into the very nature of organizations. And these realities constantly push executives toward ineffectiveness.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, the executive's time tends to belong to everybody else.
Oh, tell me about it.
You're a captive of the organization, your phone rings, an urgent message pops up on Slack, someone knocks on your door needing an immediate answer.
You're just constantly reacting.
Right. And second, you are forced to keep operating in the daily flow of events.
Meaning you're stuck in the weeds.
Exactly. If you let the daily flow determine what you do, you'll just spend your days putting out fires and mopping up yesterday's messes, rather than building anything for tomorrow.
Okay, so that's 2. What's the third?
Third is that you rely on sideways relationships. Yeah, you're surrounded by other knowledge workers who you don't directly control, but you desperately need them to use your output for it to mean anything.
Like if a microbiologist discovers something amazing.
But doesn't present their findings in a way the cost accountant can understand.
Right.
Then the accountant's work is useless, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's all interdependent.
Okay, but the fourth reality is the one that really caught my attention in the notes.
The inside trap.
Yes. The executive is trapped on the inside of the organization. Drucker draws a really stark contrast between the inside of an organization and the outside. He basically says the inside is purely an effort and cost center.
Which is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of managers.
Well, wait, hold on. I actually need to push back on that because that sounds a bit extreme.
Sure.
Surely the R&D department building the product or the sales team closing deals is a profit center, right? I'm having trouble wrapping my head around the idea that everything inside the walls is just a cost.
It sounds counterintuitive because, well, businesses love to use that polite euphemism of profit centers for internal departments.
Right, it makes everyone feel good.
But think about it from a purely mechanical perspective. Everything that happens inside the walls of an organization, every single meeting, every blueprint, every line of code is just effort and friction.
Effort and friction.
Yeah. The fact that it takes 100,000 employees to build an automobile is not some triumph of human engineering. It's actually a gross imperfection.
Wait, really? An imperfection?
Yes, because all actual results are on the outside. The only real result for that car company is a customer on the outside willing to exchange their purchasing power for the vehicle.
Oh, I see.
The only result for a hospital is a patient on the outside being cured and sent home. Until that external event happens, everything inside the organization is just a sunk cost.
Okay, I see it now. It's like the biological analogy from the text.
Amoeba.
Yeah. Think of an amoeba. Every part of an amoeba is in constant direct contact with its environment. It doesn't need special organs to survive. Its whole mass is dedicated to interacting with the outside world.
But a large, complex animal, like a human, needs a massive internal skeleton. We need a digestive tract, a nervous system, a circulatory system.
So much internal plumbing.
Exactly. Most of the mass of a higher animal serves only one purpose, which is to overcome the complexity of its own structure and its isolation from the outside world.
Wow.
And large organizations act exactly like the complex animal. They dedicate the vast majority of their energy, time, and resources just to keeping themselves running, managing their own internal mass.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Our modern tools might actually be blinding us to this reality.
Oh, absolutely.
The notes warn against the danger of computeritis.
Yes, computeritis.
A computer is a logic machine. It can grind out massive amounts of quantifiable data about the inside of the organization. You know, costs, production figures, statistics.
But the truly important events on the outside are rarely available in quantifiable form until it's way too late.
Because they're qualitative.
Right. They're qualitative changes, shifts in perception, in taste, in values.
The famous example from the notes is the Ford Edsel failure.
A classic disaster.
Ford gathered all the quantitative data possible. Every internal statistic said it was the exact right car for the right market. But what the data entirely missed was a massive qualitative shift.
American consumers were changing how they bought cars.
Exactly. They were shifting from buying cars based on their income bracket to buying them based on their personal taste and lifestyle. And no statistical dashboard showed that in time.
If we bring that into today's world, think about a social media company obsessively optimizing its app.
Oh, this is a great comparison.
The internal dashboard shows engagement is up, time on app is up, ad clicks are through the roof, everything is green.
Looks like a massive success internally.
Right, but out in the real world, a qualitative shift is happening. Users feel anxious and miserable using the app, and this massive cultural backlash is brewing.
So the internal data looks perfect, but it entirely misses the human reality on the outside.
The dashboard blinds them to the windshield.
That is such a powerful image. So we have this massive internal skeleton, this trap of effort and cost, pulling our attention inward. How does a single individual actually break through all of that and deliver real-world results?
By radically shifting the questions they ask themselves.
Okay, how so?
Well, the ineffective executive focuses downward. They're occupied with efforts. They say things like, I have 850 people working under me, or they obsess over what the company owes them and the authority they should have.
So it's all about them and their internal status?
Yeah, but the effective executive focuses outward. They ask one fundamental question. What can I contribute that will significantly affect the performance of this institution?
What can I contribute?
Yes. What's fascinating here is that single question changes a person's entire posture.
Because you stop looking at your little piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. When you ask what you can contribute, you turn your attention away from your narrow specialty and toward the performance of the whole. You start acting like top management, no matter how junior your title is, because you hold yourself accountable for the ultimate results.
There's an incredible story in the text about a young American infantry captain in the jungle during the Vietnam War.
Oh, that's a powerful one.
A reporter asks him, how in this chaotic, confused situation can you possibly retain command? And the captain basically says, I'm just the guy who is responsible.
Right.
He says, if these men run into the enemy, I'm too far away to tell them what to do. My job is to make sure they know what to do. The responsibility is mine, but the decision lies with whoever is on the spot.
In a chaotic environment, every single person has to be an executive. They all have to take responsibility for the overall outcome, rather than just waiting around for orders.
And it applies far beyond the battlefield, right? Take Nurse Brian's rule from the hospital anecdote.
A completely different setting, same principle.
Exactly. She was a senior nurse, and whenever a new patient came in or a new routine was introduced, she would simply ask, are we really making the best contribution to the purpose of this hospital?
Just constantly recentering the goal.
Yeah, and even though she was quote-unquote just a nurse in the hierarchy, her constant focus on outward contribution raised the standard for everyone. Years after she retired, the senior doctors were still holding themselves to Nurse Brian's rule.
Commitment to contribution is the actual definition of responsible effectiveness. Without it, you shortchange yourself, you cheat your organization, and you just become trapped in all that internal friction.
I have to ask a practical question, though, for you, the listener, who might be deep in a highly specific career right now.
Sure, let's hear it.
How does a highly specialized knowledge worker, say, a biochemist in a pharmaceutical company, or a highly technical cost accountant, actually make a broad contribution without just confusing everyone around them with technical jargon?
That is a critical challenge. The specialist must take full responsibility for being understood.
Yeah.
It is actually a form of arrogant pedantry to assume that the layman around you should just have to learn your specialized language.
You can't just speak higher mathematics and get frustrated when the sales team doesn't follow your logic.
No, you can't. The effective specialist looks up and asks their colleagues, what contribution from me do you require to make your contribution to the organization?
And in what exact form do you need it?
Exactly. The biochemist has to translate their findings into the language of the clinicians who actually decide if a compound becomes a drug.
That makes total sense.
And the accountant has to present numbers in a way that operating managers can intuitively use for daily decisions.
So once you have this mindset of outward contribution, you really need the daily mechanics to pull it off. The text outlines 3 major levers for impact: time, strengths, and decisions.
Let's start with time.
Okay, let's do it. Time is the scarcest resource. You cannot rent it, hire it, or buy more of it.
And it is completely perishable.
Right. Effective executives do not start by planning their tasks. They actually start by tracking your time, because human memory regarding time is notoriously unreliable.
Oh, we are terrible at guessing where our time goes.
There's a story in the notes of a company chairman who swore he split his time perfectly into thirds.
I love this one.
He thought it was 1/3 with senior staff, 1/3 with important customers, and 1/3 on community activities. But when his secretary actually tracked his time for 6 weeks, it turned out he spent almost zero time on those things.
What was he actually doing?
He was acting as a glorified dispatcher, just bothering the manufacturing plant with phone calls about minor customer orders.
We all suffer from that delusion to some extent. To be effective, you have to diagnose where your time actually goes, ruthlessly prune the time wasters, and then consolidate your discretionary time into large, continuous chunks.
Because small dribs and drabs of time are totally useless for knowledge work.
Absolutely useless.
You can't write a major strategic report in 15-minute intervals between meetings over 3 weeks. You just end up with doodles on blank paper.
You need 5 or 6 hours of uninterrupted time to even get a zero draft done.
But to get those large chunks, you have to eliminate recurring crises.
Yes. A crisis that recurs a second time is a crisis that must not occur again. It's just a symptom of sloppy system design.
Like the hospital administrator in the note.
The bed crisis?
Yeah, he was constantly plagued by doctors calling him furious, trying to find beds for incoming patients. The admissions desk always said the hospital was full, but the administrator could always find empty beds when he searched. It was a daily, exhausting crisis.
Right. I mean, that sounds terrible. And he didn't solve it by forming a committee or buying expensive new software.
No. He realized the admissions desk only did a bed count at 5 in the morning, but most patients were discharged mid-morning.
So there was this huge lag in information.
Exactly. He solved this daily screaming crisis simply by routing an extra carbon copy of the discharge slip from the floor nurse down to the admissions desk the moment a patient left.
Ooh.
Boom. The crisis vanished forever, saving hours of his time every single week.
You fix the systems so you aren't wasting your most precious resource on yesterday's easily preventable problems.
But freeing up all that time is useless if you apply it for the wrong things. So
Right.
once you have your time back, how do you know where to aim it? That's where the second lever comes in. Strengths.
And this completely challenges how we normally operate.
It really does. The rule is stop trying to fix weaknesses. You have to build on strength.
The ineffective executive looks at a person and asks, what can they not do? They try to staff jobs to avoid weakness, looking for the most well-rounded candidate.
The jack of all trades.
Yeah. But the effective executive asks, what can this person do uncommonly well? They staff for excellence in one major area.
Alfred P. Sloan, who built General Motors into a massive powerhouse, perfectly illustrates this.
He was famous for picking winners.
Yeah, and his secret was that he took hours, sometimes days, to make a personnel decision. He never accepted his first instinct because he knew his first instinct was usually a compromise.
Looking for the person with the fewest weaknesses.
Exactly. He called it looking for the least misfit.
A person who is just okay at everything will never drive outstanding results. High performers almost always have glaring weaknesses because their energy is disproportionately focused on their strengths.
Right.
If you have a brilliant tax accountant who is terrible at human relations, you don't send them to a management seminar to fix their personality.
Please don't do that.
You put them in an office by themselves and let them do brilliant tax accounting. You use the structure of the organization to make their strength productive and their weakness entirely irrelevant.
It's like the opera manager putting up with the prima donna's tantrums. You don't pay the prima donna to be nice. You pay her to bring in the audience and hit the high notes.
It applies to managing your boss, too, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Instead of trying to reform your boss to fit your style, ask, what can my boss do really well? What do they need from me to perform?
So manage upward using strengths.
Exactly. If your boss is a reader, don't go into their office and talk at them. Send a detailed memo. If they're a listener, don't drop a 60-page report on their desk. Go in and brief them verbally. Make their strength productive.
That is so practical. Focusing on strengths frees you up to tackle the final lever, decisions.
Right, the big one.
I always assumed a great executive was someone making hundreds of rapid-fire decisions all day long.
Actually, making hundreds of decisions is a symptom of sloppy thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Effective executives concentrate on a few high-level, generic decisions. They try to find the constants in a situation and establish a guiding principle rather than just solving isolated problems on the fly.
Theodore Vail at the Bell Telephone System is a stunning example of this.
He was a visionary.
He didn't just react to the daily pressures of running a massive monopoly. He made strategic decisions that defied conventional wisdom. He realized that even as a monopoly, Bell had to organize its own future to compete with its present, or the government would eventually dismantle them.
So he created Bell Labs.
Yes.
And the mandate of Bell Labs was not defensive research to protect their current patents. It was specifically designed to invent the technologies that would deliberately make their own highly profitable present obsolete.
That takes incredible courage. And this is where the concept of boundary conditions comes in. The text says a real decision requires a clear definition of the boundary conditions. I'm a little fuzzy on this, though. How exactly does a boundary condition work in practice?
Think of a boundary condition as the absolute minimum a decision needs to accomplish to be effective.
Okay.
It's the must-have criteria. If Theodore Vail says the boundary condition for Bell Labs is, we must invent technology that replaces our current phone lines in 10 years.
Then any research proposal that just improves current lines by 10% fails the boundary condition.
Exactly. Even if it's a brilliant cost-saving idea, it doesn't solve the core problem. A decision that falls short of its boundary conditions is worse than useless, because it tricks you into thinking you've actually solved the problem.
That makes perfect sense. It's the ultimate filter.
Furthermore, a decision is not a real decision until it degenerates into work.
What does that mean?
It means if you make a grand strategic choice, but you don't assign specific people with specific deadlines and changed incentives to actually carry it out, you haven't made a decision at all. You have just made a good intention.
Wow. So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the whole picture, all of these practices, auditing your time, staffing for unique strengths, making a few principle-based decisions, these are your ultimate defense mechanisms against the trap of the organization.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the natural gravity of any large institution wants to pull you inward. It wants you to focus on the friction, the internal politics, the endless effort of keeping the machine running. These tools force you to look outward, to the environment where the actual results live.
Effectiveness isn't about running faster on the treadmill. It isn't about working yourself to the bone just to look busy and generate heat. It is about diagnosing your time, ruthlessly cutting the trivial, asking what unique contribution you can make, and building a system that relies on your strengths.
Which brings us to a fascinating implication for the future. Something Drucker's principles point toward, even in our modern era.
What's that?
Think about the rise of artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow, yeah.
AI is the ultimate engine of efficiency. It can process the internal data, handle the workflows, and manage the inside of the organization infinitely faster than we can.
It's the perfect logic machine for the effort and cost center.
Exactly. So if AI takes over the efficiency of the inside, what is left for the human worker?
Outward effectiveness.
Yes. The only value left is outward effectiveness. The ability to look at the shifting, qualitative realities of the outside world, ask what is the right thing to do, and define the boundary conditions of tomorrow.
Because AI can't do that yet.
Right. As manual and routine knowledge work gets automated, being effective rather than just efficient won't just be a path to promotion. It will be the only way to remain relevant.
That is a wildly profound thought to leave you with today. If the machines are taking over the treadmill, your only job is to figure out how to navigate the maze. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It is time to step outside that effort center, stop trying to be a perfectly well-rounded gear, and start steering the car out of neutral. Go get the right things done.